Tonight, the truck slamming into a church, the suspect then opening fire and setting fire to the church in Michigan. Now the chilling discovery tonight at that Mormon church, what was discovered in the suspect's pickup. Authorities say a Marine veteran opening fire with an assault rifle on hundreds of people, at least 4 people dead, many wounded from that church. Also just in tonight, the scare on the runway. We have just learned the pilot of an American Airlines passenger jet headed from LAX to Boston, slamming on the brakes at 154 miles per hour as another plane crosses its path. You will hear the audio tonight. Also breaking, it does appear a government shutdown is now coming in just hours. President Trump meeting with Democrat and Republican leaders, Democrats demanding Medicaid cuts be restored and that health insurance premiums not go up. Moments ago, the vice president tonight now saying, I think we're headed for a shutdown. Also tonight, tropical storm Imelda expected to become a hurricane by morning. The East Coast bracing the major turn this storm takes, according to the latest models, and Ginger Z is right there along the coast tonight. Is there a plan to end the Israel-Hamas conflict tonight? President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu now say they have agreed to a plan to get the remaining hostages and to end the conflict, what it includes, and tonight the big question, how will Hamas respond? Tonight, there's been a major break in an unsolved murder case. 4 teenage girls killed in a yogurt shop. Tonight, authorities now say they know who did it and how they say they solved this. The disturbing discovery, a body found in the landing gear of an American Airlines flight. Tonight, the deadly listeria outbreak. The CDC investigating the outbreak across at least 15 states. At least 4 people have died from this, 19 hospitalized. Potentially linked to a certain kind of fettuccine alfredo and meatball linguine sold at multiple stores. We'll have the latest. The news tonight about Dolly Parton, what she says she's now facing with her own health, in her own words tonight, and what doctors are saying as we all now root for a speedy recovery for Dolly. And the big reveal here, who will headline the Super Bowl halftime show.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Monday night. The breaking news, the vice president saying moments ago it appears we are heading for a government shutdown. What this means, also a passenger jet screeching to a halt at 154 miles per hour, avoiding another plane. But we do begin tonight here with the deadly mass shooting and arson attack at a Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan. We do have new reporting tonight about this horrific assault, the alleged gunman, and the alarming discovery now in the back of his pickup truck. Authorities say the horror unfolding when Marine veteran Thomas Jacob Sanford rammed his vehicle into the front of the church during Sunday services, then shooting into the church before setting it on fire. Hundreds of people were inside at the time. At least 4 people were killed, 8 wounded, some critically. Tonight, what authorities now reveal they found in the suspect's truck. ABC's Alex Perez leading us off tonight from Michigan.
Tonight, the urgent search for a motive after a gunman rammed his truck into a Mormon church in Michigan and sprayed bullets at hundreds of people inside before setting the building on fire.
We have an active shooter at the church, and PD's on scene saying the building is also on fire.
4 people killed, at least 8 more injured, 2 critically. The victims ranging in age from 6 to 78 years old.
Evil. This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was.
The horror unfolding around 10:25 Sunday morning at the Church of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc outside of Flint. Officers responding within seconds. The gunman was firing an assault rifle, according to police. Paul Kirby was inside with his wife and 2 sons.
We just hear a loud boom. I was about 20 yards away from the gunman. He started opening fire, and I turned and ran towards the doors, and that's when I felt some shrapnel hit my left leg.
He didn't think they'd make it out alive.
How grateful are you that you and your family are okay?
I am extremely grateful. Sorry. Yeah, I got home and just hugged my boys.
After 8 minutes of terror at 10:33 a.m., police say the suspect was killed in a shootout in the parking lot. Sources say 4 explosive devices made of consumer-grade fireworks were found in the suspect's truck.
We still are in the process of clearing out that church.
Officials identifying the suspect as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, who served as a Marine in the Iraq War. We spoke with a local city council candidate who says he met the suspect just days before the attack.
Ultimately, the last thing he said was that Mormons are the Antichrist.
So that's a big statement. He said Mormons are the Antichrist?
Correct.
What was your reaction?
It was shocking me. It's very odd.
The suspect's father speaking to ABC's Detroit affiliate WXYZ, saying, "I feel so bad about the families that were affected by this, aside from ours. We're not the only ones going through this devastation. We are beside ourselves." And tonight, we're hearing from the family of one of the victims, 77-year-old John Bond, a Navy veteran active in his community, remembered as a beloved husband, father, and grandfather. And David, the gunman is described as a dad who cared for his son who battled health problems. The White House says he had a history of hatred towards the Mormon church and that his family is cooperating with authorities. David?
Just a horrific story. Alex Perez leading us off on a Monday night. Alex, thank you. Tonight, authorities say another Marine veteran has been involved in a deadly shooting. He'd been awarded the Purple Heart, now tonight facing multiple murder charges for a deadly waterfront shooting in Southport, North Carolina. Police say Nigel Edge was armed with a rifle when he opened fire from a boat, shooting into a popular bar called the American Fish Company. At least 3 people were killed, 5 wounded. Authorities say he's an Iraq combat veteran and claims to be suffering from PTSD. The breaking news coming in late today, Vice President J.D. Vance saying, "I think we're headed for a government shutdown," after President Trump met with Democrat and Republican leaders at the White House. Democrats tonight demanding that Medicaid cuts be restored and that health insurance premiums not go up for millions. But no agreement. Rachel Scott at the White House.
Tonight, for the first time, President Trump sitting down with top Democratic congressional leaders in a last-ditch effort to prevent the government from shutting down tomorrow night.
It was a frank and direct discussion with the President of the United States and Republican leaders, but significant and meaningful differences remain.
Democrats say they will not vote to fund the government unless Republicans restore cuts to Medicaid and keep health care premiums from rising for some 20 million Americans.
He seemed to, for the first time, understand the magnitude of this crisis.
But minutes later, a tough line from Vice President J.D. Vance.
I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing.
I asked if there was any chance for a deal.
So just to be clear, is there room for negotiation here with Democrats?
They had some ideas that I actually thought were reasonable, and they had some ideas that the president thought was reasonable. What's not reasonable is to hold those ideas as leverage and to shut down the government unless we give you everything that you want.
If the government shuts down, as many as 4 million federal employees could go without a paycheck. Many, including 2 million members of the military, could be forced to work without pay. In Alabama, that includes Heather Campbell's husband, a major in the Air Force. They have 3 children.
We're not talking about faceless humans in a faraway office. We're talking about men and women and moms and dads and grandparents and sisters and uncles. They want to show up and they want to do a good job and they want to be honest, hardworking Americans. And they're getting caught in the middle of this political rhetoric.
And tonight, the White House with a threat of its own. If the government shuts down, many workers might not just be furloughed, they could be fired. The administration now drawing up plans to potentially eliminate the jobs of people working on programs that are not consistent with the president's priorities.
And again, David, the government is set to shut down tomorrow night. Millions of Americans are watching and waiting to see if lawmakers can reach a deal. But tonight, no word on if the president plans to speak with Democrats again before tomorrow's deadline, David.
Rachel Scott, who continues to follow this for us. Rachel, thank you. Just in tonight, the scare on the runway. The pilot of an American Airlines passenger jet headed from Los Angeles to Boston, slamming on the brakes at 154 miles per hour as another plane crossed its path. You will hear the audio tonight, and here's Matt Rivers.
A frightening moment on one of America's busiest runways. An American Airlines jet packed with passengers Sunday night headed for Boston, forced to slam on its brakes after a cargo plane was crossing the same runway. A Boeing 777 taxiing at LAX. You can hear air traffic control directing the cargo plane to cross this runway.
Chairman Carter, 619 Heavy, yes, and if you can do it as fast as you can, traffic's on a 3-mile final.
Those pilots instead making a right turn, now directly in front of that American Airlines jet speeding down the runway at 154 miles per hour, seconds from being airborne. Controllers telling the cargo plane to stop, but it was too late.
Chairman Carter, 619 Heavy, stop.
We are on the runway, Chairman Carter, 619.
American 2453, cancel takeoff clearance.
The pilots avoiding a near catastrophe, stopping the jet about a mile down the runway.
And David, in a statement, American Airlines saying, in part, we thank our crew members for their quick action and our customers for their understanding. The FAA now investigating. David?
Yeah, people at home just want to know how this stuff keeps happening. Matt Rivers tonight. Matt, thank you. Tonight we're keeping a close watch along the East Coast at this hour. Tropical storm Imelda expected to become a hurricane by tomorrow morning. Millions up and down the East Coast bracing for the effects. But the major turn this storm takes, according to the latest models, and that's the silver lining here. So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z. She's in Greensboro, North Carolina, tracking it this week for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, David. We've got this mesmerizing satellite image I want to start with. So it's so rare in the southwestern Atlantic to see two storms 600 miles apart, and they will dance around each other. Watch what happens as Humberto turns west of Bermuda, and Imelda tomorrow starts to take that hard right turn toward Bermuda, which by Wednesday night we'll see impacts. Then, why is this happening? Well, there's this big high-pressure system that's kind of sinking south over the continental United States, and that stationary front. In part, they're helping to move Imelda behind Humberto and then kind of getting swept up in it as it moves east. We will be seeing rain showers, not just here in North Carolina, which there's a moderate drought in parts, so they desperately need it, South Carolina and parts of Georgia. But by Tuesday night, it's all east, and it's moving on. The one thing it will produce, high surf, David, 5 to 10 foot waves and high risk of rip currents. Yeah, we still have to be very aware of the effects of this. Ginger, thanks so much. We'll see you first thing in the morning. Tonight, the major headline is there's now a plan to end the Israel-Hamas conflict. At the White House today, President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say they have agreed to a plan now to free the remaining hostages and to end this conflict. The president laying out his 20-point plan, what it includes, and the warning tonight if Hamas doesn't accept the deal. Mary Bruce is at the White House.
Tonight, President Trump welcoming Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House, calling it a historic day for peace.
President Trump, are you confident, sir, there'll be peace in Gaza anytime soon?
The president laying out a 20-point plan that would see Hamas release all of the remaining hostages and agree not to have any role in the governance of Gaza in any form.
The plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back.
In exchange, Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza and would slowly withdraw its military, though not fully.
All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully.
Gaza would be governed by an apolitical Palestinian committee overseen by an international board of peace with Trump as its chairman. And while just months ago Trump said Palestinians would have to leave Gaza, under this plan, no one will be forced to leave Gaza. We will encourage people to stay.
I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims.
But Netanyahu with this warning if Hamas refuses to accept.
Then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way. But it will be done.
A move Trump says he would support.
I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.
Arab leaders are now welcoming this plan. French President Macron says Hamas has no choice but to accept it. But Hamas, so far, no response. David.
Mary Bruce also at the White House tonight for us. And Mary, we appreciate it. Tonight, a major break in an unsolved murder case that made national headlines for decades in this country. 4 teenage girls killed in a yogurt shop. And tonight, authorities now say they know who did it and how they say they solved this. Here's Matt Gutman now.
Tonight, a huge breakthrough in a cold case that made national headlines and stumped investigators for decades. In 1991, a mystery attacker murdered 4 teenage girls in an Austin yogurt shop. They were bound, shot, and the building was set on fire.
Austin lost its innocence the night those young souls became victims. Today, we have some closure.
Tonight, investigators say their suspect is Robert Eugene Brashers, who died by suicide in 1999 during a standoff with police. And they're now linking him to crimes in at least 5 states. In July, police were able to match a shell casing in that Austin, Texas yogurt shop to an unsolved murder in Kentucky. Investigators in Austin then linked DNA to another murder in South Carolina.
He said, your victims, were they bound with their own clothing? And the hair stood on the back of my neck. And I knew we were maybe getting somewhere finally with this case.
And today, those families in Austin say they live forever with their loss.
Our families are still too small, still missing an essential ingredient, and we are lesser for it.
But that they also feel immense gratitude.
Thank you for the Austin Police Department and all the love and support that you have given us over these 34 years.
In 1999, David, 4 teenagers were arrested for the murders. 2 of them were convicted, and 1 of them even put on death row. Now, eventually those convictions were overturned, but today the DA apologizing to the wrongly accused and their families. David.
And of course, we're thinking about the families of these victims who went decades without any answers in this case. Matt, thanks so much. Tonight, New York City's race for mayor taking on a new look 24 hours after a major shakeup. Incumbent Mayor Eric Adams suspending his campaign just 5 weeks before the election. Adams struggling in the polls, facing multiple scandals and under pressure to bow out. Frontrunner Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani calling this a turning point for progressive politics in the city. What remains unclear, of course, is whether Adams supporters will shift the numbers in this race and make it any closer between Mamdani and former Governor Andrew Cuomo. When we come back here tonight, the deadly listeria outbreak, more than a dozen states now. Frozen dinners, they say potentially this is linked to, sold at multiple stores, and we'll go down the list. Also, a disturbing discovery tonight, the body of a stowaway found in the landing gear of an American Airlines passenger jet after landing. We'll have more. And the scare at a school, a carnival being held, the ride malfunctions. You'll see the images tonight, sending cars slamming into one another, and we'll have much more in a moment here. Tonight, there's been a gruesome discovery. A body was found in the landing gear of an American Airlines passenger jet after landing. Crews in Charlotte found the body of a stowaway in the wheel well on Sunday. Police say the flight had flown in from Europe. American Airlines is cooperating with authorities tonight. In Los Angeles, horrifying moments when a carnival ride at a school breaks down, the carriages coming loose, nearly hitting the ground. It's called the Zipper Ride. It malfunctioned at a school's Family Fun Day. Some riders reportedly trapped for an hour until rescuers could free them. No one was injured. When we come back, the very personal news from Dolly Parton delaying her Las Vegas residency because of her health, and you'll hear what she's saying tonight, and the big reveal for the Super Bowl halftime show in a moment. Call. Well, tonight, news Bad Bunny will take over the Super Bowl 60 halftime show. Bad Bunny, fresh off a sold-out residency in Puerto Rico, saying when it comes to the halftime show, he plans to have fun and embrace the moment. He is big. When we come back here tonight, Dolly Parton, very personal words about her health, the news tonight about her residency in Las Vegas and what she's saying about it in a moment.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Pacific Life, nearly 160 years strong, with financial strategies for a more confident future.
Finally tonight here, Dolly Parton taking a rare break. Tonight, Dolly Parton with a new personal message to fans in her own words about why she's taking a break for her own health. She's been working now for more than 5 decades, 66 studio albums, a new Guinness record, 10 Grammys. Jolene, Jolene. Dolly Parton, who is now 79, announced a Las Vegas residency, but tonight revealing she's postponing it until next September, a year from now. Writing, I've been dealing with some health challenges and my doctors tell me that I must have a few procedures. As I joke with them, it must be time for my 100,000-mile checkup. In all seriousness, given this, I'm not going to be able to rehearse and put together the show that I want you to see and the show that you deserve to see. And don't worry about me quitting the business because God hasn't said anything about stopping yet. But I believe he is telling me to slow down right now so I can be ready for more big adventures with all of you. There have been so many adventures with Dolly through the years, once singing this to Barbara Walters. Dolly Parton telling Barbara back in 1978 why she loves getting back out on that stage night after night, something that still holds true all these decades later.
It's excitement to me. You grow restless if you have restless blood, and you grow more restless as the years go on, and you want to get out. And when you do, you enjoy it.
Dolly, if you're watching, we want you to know millions are rooting for you, us included. Good night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 3rd year in a row.